Hello, Colonel Meason here. Welcome back to our second virtual drill weekend. Started off with my mask just as a reminder as we continue to go through this COVID fight and all the changes that we've had to deal with and implement here to keep the operation going, to keep our people safe, to not get complacent, and keep your vigilant efforts going to help ensure our mission success. Wanted to rewind the clock just a little bit and talk about our April virtual drill back on the 18th and 20th of April. We had some great content out there for you on Google Classroom. The intent being about 8 hours or 2 drill periods worth of training to take care of some of our required annual training requirements. With that, I left commander's discretion to add to or change some of the content to tailor that training as needed down to the squadron and shop level. Our plan for May for this virtual UTA, the 16th through the 18th, is to do the same, and we've created content there in Google Classroom for you. Again, the baseline is intended to be 8 hours or 2 drill periods, but commanders have the discretion to add to that or change some of the content as needed. Part of the content on Google Classroom this time, at the bottom you should see some links to provide some feedback. Tell us how, if we need to do another virtual drill either soon or farther in the future, we can incorporate those comments and incorporate your feedback so that this training is valuable and it's a good use of your time, a good use of our training resources, and helps us overall with our annual training plans. Now with that, I'll talk a little bit more about the COVID impacts. It's changed how we all do a lot of things at home, at work, and at communities. And I just want to let you know that here at the 138th, it's affected operations obviously as well. For those of you that are DSGs out there watching and haven't been to drill or haven't been here on base over the last 2 months, we're still operating, we're still flying airplanes, we're still supporting the mission, and we're still focused on readiness. We're just having to do it quite a bit differently. We're still going to keep following all those safety guidelines that are being put out at the federal and state and local levels. But I need you to understand that our decisions and ultimately the measures that we're going to continue to put in place or relax here for the 138th are driven by readiness and driven by our need to keep the mission going, particularly sustaining our alert aerospace control alert mission down at Ellington Field in Houston. So like I said from the beginning, now is not the time to get complacent. We need to stay vigilant and keep using things like our face coverings, whether it be a mask, a neck gaiter, a t-shirt that you make into a face covering yourself at home, anything to help mitigate the spread, as well as we'll continue to look at our work shifts and implement sanitization procedures and look at the numbers of people when we do bring more of you back on base for drill and training in the future. This disease has changed the way we do a lot of things at home, at work, out in the community, and we're going to keep following the federal, the state, the city, local guidelines that we have put in place to help keep us safe and help mitigate risk of this disease. I need you to understand that the decisions and the actions we're taking here for the 138th and our members and employees are driven by not only those safety guidelines, but also the need to ensure mission readiness and to ensure continuity of our missions and support of our missions, particularly the aerospace control alert at Ellington Field is our #1 priority and underpins all of those decisions that we're making. The installation emergency that I declared back in March is still in effect. We're still currently at HPCon Charlie, and we will continue the current plan for our full-time force, which is separated into 2 shifts through the end of May. My goal is that beginning 1 June, we'll go back to a normal work schedule, normal work week here for the full-time force. Risk assessments. We have implemented a measure for our DSGs, for folks that have to do mission essential travel, to answer a questionnaire and screen ourselves for COVID risk factors such as temperatures and exposure. That is a squadron commander's responsibility, and I'm depending on the squadron supervisors and commanders to make sure that folks that we bring onto base, our 138th members. Our full-time force continually does that assessment, and our drill status guardsmen will complete those assessments before we're coming to drill or coming to AT later in the year. With these changes, our Oklahoma National Guard leadership and our NGB leadership have done quite a bit to give me as the wing commander and your commanders at the unit level flexibilities that we need to implement telework, implement alternate work shifts, and that has been very helpful. There will be changes on the telework policies coming out in the days to come over the next week, and just continue to work through that and make those adjustments as we work towards back to what will be a new normal way of operating here at the 138th Fighter Wing. I'll shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the state missions that the 138th and some of our airmen have been involved with. The Governor Stitt and the Oklahoma National Guard Joint Task Force have issued multiple mission assignments for Oklahoma Guardsmen, both Army and Air, to help out and provide impact to our communities with our state and local partners. Right now we've got 42 138th Airmen that are on Title 32 orders currently for 31 days, working at the Eastern Oklahoma Food Bank. They're working with health departments across the eastern side of the state to do COVID mapping and contact tracing for positive individuals, as well as a medical task force assistant down at JTF. And they're having a tremendous impact. I've gotten to work with our food bank airmen on a couple of occasions, as has General Thompson, our TAG, and General Wright, Chief Kazi, and the State Command Sergeant Major. And I've really been super impressed with our airmen, their attitudes. The impact they're having in the communities is tremendous, and the impact these missions are having on our airmen participating is also tremendous. Some of our airmen that are on orders right now have had either reduction or loss of their jobs due to COVID and the impact out in the economy, and it is helping them as well as assisting our communities. Last point on the state missions. Right now, those are set to expire at the 31-day point. There is discussion of some extensions, so we may have very limited opportunity for a few of you. If you're not involved and you want to get involved, please communicate with your commanders. We may have an opportunity to get you in the fight against COVID here in the state of Oklahoma. And the last point pertaining to particularly this virtual drill, or if they extend into June and overlap our June drill, members that are on these orders cannot participate in IDT or our drill training just due to the status and the way those orders are funded. We will provide opportunity to make up this virtual drill and any other drills that are impacted by these orders, so that those GSGs have the opportunity for that training and that drill credit and pay at a later date. More details on that to follow. Our drill plans for April, for May, for June have obviously been impacted by this COVID crisis. The current plan as it stands, our annual training week, which was scheduled to follow June drill originally, has been moved to the end of July. So our new plan for August drill includes 4 days of AT starting on the 27th of July through the 30th of July, and then our August drill will actually start on the 31st of July for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday again. And that Sunday, August 2nd, we've moved our Airmen's Day, which we had planned to do in June. We've moved that to August 2nd, and look forward to seeing you and your families and your friends August 2nd for our Airmen's Day. Additional AT days are available. Additional drill dates resources are available for your commanders to use as needed, as required. One important point with all of these changes, I suspect there may be a few of you out there whose annual drill and AT requirements may be affected. We may have a few of you that run into a situation where you can't get or COVID impact is preventing you from reaching a good qualifying year of Guard service. There's a requirement for 50 points, which includes AT days, your drill days, and then Guard membership. And if you're unable to get to 50 points based on the current plan, I need you to communicate with your supervisors. Commanders, please take a look at your folks and make sure that we can provide training opportunities where they need it. Lastly, on that 27 to 30 June exercise or AT week, Our original plan for June was to do a large-scale readiness exercise. We were going to conduct surge flying operations with extended days, extended shifts to exercise our ACC-IG requirement for a large-scale exercise. The surge flying piece of that has gone away. My intent is still to do wing level exercise training the week of 27 through 30 July. However, it'll be normal flying operations, and the focus will be more on mission assurance, non-chem gear, ATSO type events, and continuity of operations as we just continue to focus on our mission support areas and how we keep the mission going. Last piece on COVID impacts. Most of you have probably seen in the news and heard about the CARES Act, which is a federal funding that was authorized to support operations related to COVID, but not specifically, not unique requirements for COVID support missions. What does that mean? There are multiple areas where we have change plans, or we have readiness impacts due to COVID, or we need additional resources to support facilities and a few other reasons, security forces. So we have MilPers, days and dollars, and O&M resources available to help us get after those missions, to help us restore readiness and get back on mission as quickly as we can once we get to the point where we can bring more of you out here for drills and for AT and the rest of the fiscal year. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about our wing climate survey results. We had a total of 313 of you fill out the wing climate survey back earlier this spring. That's only about 25%, which is kind of low in terms of climate survey responses. And I really hope we have a higher percentage next time. I intend to do another climate survey in calendar 2021, probably about 12 months from now, and I look forward to those results then. I won't go through all of the specifics. The results are with your group commanders and my level right now as we go through and continue to develop an action plan and how we can respond and provide more detailed feedback. We'll do that. Just wanted to let you know that the problem areas that are highlighted right away in some of the data are sexual assault prevention, reporting knowledge and procedures. Organizational processes were reflected kind of across the board as an area for improvement, as well as inclusion. And one thing that I noted when reading those results, there was a disparity between the responses on those topics from our officers and our senior enlisted to the more junior non-supervisor enlisted folks on the base, which tells me that at the lower ranks that the problem is perceived, and the higher ranks it's not, that there's probably a communication problem. There's communication barriers between our younger troops and our supervisors and our leadership. So part of that action plan and part of what we'll be talking about in response to not just the climate survey, but also the resiliency tactical pause feedback and our community action board plans to try to get after those barriers to communication and free up and provide feedback down the chain of command so that one, you know that we're hearing you, that I'm hearing you as a wing commander, and we want to do what we can to improve quality of life, to improve morale, to improve efficiency and effectiveness of our organization. Moving on to the resiliency tactical pause, a lot of great feedback from that effort. I know it's been a while since we conducted that in the fall and wintertime. Some of those common threads that we're seeing from the RTP effort feedback were carried over into the climate survey. Things such as task saturation, competing priorities for your training time, especially the DSGs on drill weekend, a desire for more mentorship and resiliency training. Going back to our state mission, I want to give another shout out to our food bank team, who's been doing quite a bit of training in their downtime when they're not building boxes and taking meals to families and having an impact outside the wire. They're having an impact within the team and developing airmen, and it's really great to see. Other things that we're asked about were more morale events, both at the wing level and down to the squadron and unit level, and I'm fully supportive of those requirements, and I encourage leaders at all levels to figure out ways to incorporate that into your normal operations. Other comments on requests for more leadership presence, more out and about presence, not just from squadron and above leadership, but also our wing level and helping agencies such as the SARC and the DPH and Human Resources and the chaplains, and some of the content you've seen in April and May virtual drills are exactly an effort to help with that. And our Community Action Board met again last virtual UTA in a virtual setting, and we're getting ready to publish our action plan to communicate and get after some of those issues that have been brought up. Lastly, I want to finish with a great news story. Earlier in the last 2 weeks, we've completed 2 days worth of flyovers as part of Operation America Strong, or you may have seen a hashtag Air Force Salutes. I approved 2 days of flyovers. We had a 4th ship of F-16s. On Thursday and Friday, they conducted flyovers for 33 healthcare facilities all over the eastern side of the state, from Stillwater to McAllister to Muskogee to Tulsa, Miami, Oklahoma, and all points in between. And if you've seen the news stories, tremendous impact, tremendous show of gratitude and appreciation for our healthcare workers, as well as appreciation for the 138th Fighter Wing. And I couldn't be more proud of that impact that we had and the ability to show thanks to our frontline healthcare heroes that are out there taking care of you and your families in the community. And they're really worthy of saluting. One point I wanted to make, though, and piggyback on that effort, in the news, the jets and our pilots got the attention. They're the ones that got the camera footage on those news stories. But those aircraft represent all of you out there at the 138th Fighter Wing, and all of the functions that support our flying mission, that get those airplanes in the air, that maintain the aircraft, that put the fuel in them, that pay our airmen, that take care of their personnel matters, their medical records, that help us get on computers and networks, that take care of our facilities, that move our parts and take care of our logistics. All of you have a part to play in our mission, and those aircraft represent each and every one of you. So use that to your advantage. Use that to our collective advantage at the 138th. Tell your story. When you have an opportunity to ask somebody, hey, did you see those jets fly over last week? Talk to them about your story and what the 138th, what the Air National Guard has done for you, and the positive impact it has made in your life, and the opportunity to share that with others. Those flyovers were a show of support, but they're also an opportunity to tell our story and increase our mission. I'm so proud to be a member of the 138th for so many reasons. I look back at the last 2 months and I see the strength, I see the resiliency, and I see the honor that makes up the Tulsa Standard. It's reflected in each of you. I'm proud to be a part of the 138th, and I'm humbled to be your leader. And I thank you and hope you have a great rest of your May virtual UTA. Thanks.